Today we're going to talk about the surface area of 3D figures. So if you start at the top of the page, there are formulas for surface area. In all of these formulas, a capital B represents the area of the base, capital P represents the perimeter of the base, H is the height. The height is going to be the distance between the two bases. And R, of course, is radius if it's a circular base. L is what we call the slant height. And I'll show you that when we get to our cones and pyramids. Now, LA represents the lateral area. The lateral area is just the distance around the sides without any bases. And then SA represents the total surface area, which includes the bases. So let's start off with a rectangular prism, probably the easiest of all of our shapes. What's the surface area of a rectangular prism? So on my formula chart for prism, surface area says pH plus 2b. So I'll write that down. pH plus 2b. So first we need to identify where our base is. I'm going to go ahead and define my base as this side. You could use the top or the front for your base. You just have to pick a side to be your base when it's a rectangular prism. Now, what is the area, capital B, of my base? Well, that would be 15. What's the perimeter of my base? Well, that would be 16, because remember, we add up all the sides. 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 5 plus 3. The height is the distance between the bases. That's going to be the 9. So if I defined this as my base, 9 would be my height. If you defined the front as your base, then 5 would be your height, the distance between the front and back. And now we just plug our numbers in. Perimeter times height plus 2 bases. And we grab our calculator and type in 16 times 9 plus 2 times 15 and get 174 square inches, because we're talking about area, the surface area. Surface volume, remember, is how we filled a shape. Surface area is going to be we paint the outside of the shape, or we cover it with paper, or just the outside. So that's 174 square inches on the outside. All right, next up, let's do a triangular prism. That means that the base is a triangle. In this one, it says the base is a right triangle. So notice I've got a 5, a 4, and this 3 would also go here. And some of you recognize that's a Pythagorean triple, and there's a right triangle. So if I want to find, again, same formula, pH plus 2b. So if I want to find the area of my base, well, my base this time is a triangle. And a triangle would be 1/2 3 times 4, because that's the base and height of that figure, since this is my base right here. So capital B, the area of my base would be 6. The perimeter of my base, I just add these together, would be 12. And then my height, the distance between the bases, would be 10. And we plug our numbers in. Perimeter times height plus 2 bases. So here we go. 12 times 10 plus 2 times 6. So this one is 132 square inches for the surface area. So we're covering all of this and the top and bottom. All right, next question. We're still using a rectangular prism, but this time it says determine the lateral and the total surface area. So lateral area on my formula sheet for a rectangular prism was P times H. That's the area without any bases. The total surface area is going to be your lateral plus your bases. So in this picture, I told you that the bases were shaded. I defined this as a base for you. So capital B, the area of my base is 16. Capital P, the perimeter of my base, just happens to also be 16, because if we add up all the sides. And the height of my prism, The distance between the two bases was 22. So lateral area is just going to give me the front, top, back, and bottom without the two bases. So I'm going to say that that's 16 times 22. So on my calculator, 16 times 22 is 352. For my total surface area, I'm going to take that lateral area and add in the two bases. So that's 352 plus 2 times 16. And that gives me 384 square centimeters. So my lateral area is just the sides, and my total surface area, add in the bases. Next up, let's look at this square pyramid. When we say it's a square pyramid, that means the base is a square. And all the ones that we're going to give you are going to have a square base. So the formula for a square pyramid, or a pyramid in general, 1/2 PL. Let me write that down for you. I will explain what L means. And the total surface area is 1/2 PL plus B. It's right here in your chart, 1/2 PL plus B. Notice a pyramid only has one base. A prism had two bases, but our pyramid only has one. Now, I referenced this L, which stands for the slant height. The height of my pyramid is from the tippy top down to the center of the base. It makes a right angle there. This 4 inches that I labeled for you is called the slant height. I refer to it, it's the height of the slanty side. So if you look at this face of the pyramid, it's a triangle. L, the slant height, is the height of that triangle. Also notice when I draw the height straight down, I've got a right triangle, and the slant height is the hypotenuse of that right triangle. So for now, we gave you the slant height and we didn't have to calculate it. We may have to calculate it later. So lateral area, well, let's find capital B, area of my base, is 25. Capital P, the perimeter of my base, would be 20. And then I can plug my numbers into the formula. Lateral area, 1/2 PL. Perimeter was 20. Slant height they gave me was 4. So half of 20 times 4 should be 40 square inches for my lateral area. And all I'm going to do for my total surface area is take that number and add the area of my base. So my total surface area would be 65 square inches. All right, next up we have a cylinder. Cylinder, the formula is kind of the same as a prism, except the base is a circle. So for surface area of the cylinder, think about your formula for the prism, pH plus 2B. Well, what's the perimeter of the base of my shape? Well, my base is a circle. So if I'm talking about the perimeter of my circle, that's the circumference. So this formula, 2 pi r is my circumference, h would be the height. Now what's the area of my base, which is the circle? Well, that's pi r squared. So when you look at your formula chart, you'll see for a cylinder, it says 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared. The perimeter is the circumference, and the base was the pi r squared. So all we really need to know about our cylinder is what's the radius and what's the height. Well, 9 is my height. Look here, diameter is 4. That means my radius is 2. And I plug my numbers in. 2 pi radius height plus 2 pi radius squared. We're going to leave this in terms of pi. What that means is we're going to take care of all the numbers and then put a pi at the end. So here we go. Can you see that? So I'm going to do 2 times 2 times 9, which is 36 pi. I can do this one in my head. 2 squared times 2 would give me 8 pi. Put those together, you've got 44 pi square centimeters for my total surface area. So all you need to know about a cylinder is the radius and the height, and you can solve that. All right, you're going to love this one, the sphere. Look at the formula for surface area of a sphere. 4 pi r squared. Somehow they figured out if you took the area of a circle and did 4 of those, you could cover a sphere. So the total surface area is 4 pi r squared. All you have to know is the radius. Well, I gave it to you. So we're just going to calculate 4 pi times 8 squared. Again, doing this in terms of pi, it's pretty easy and it's exact. Ignore the pi for a second. Do 4 times 8 squared. And your answer is 256 pi. And you just attach the pi at the end. And this one will be square inches. All right, we got one more shape. We're going to do a cone. It's on the next page. All right. Find the surface area of the cone. Well, surface area of a cone is kind of like the surface area of a pyramid. I'll show you how those formulas are similar. A pyramid says 1/2 PL plus B. But in a cone, what's the shape of my base? My base down here is a circle. So the perimeter of a circle we talked about is circumference would be 2 pi r times the slant height. And the base of my circle would just be pi r squared. So when you look at your formula chart, the surface area of a cone says pi rl plus pi r squared. Because the 1/2 times the 2 cancel out. So all I have to know here is that my radius is 12 and gave you the slant height again. Occasionally you are going to have to calculate the slant height. And what you'll know is this is the height, this is the radius, the slant height is the hypotenuse of that right triangle, and Pythagorean theorem will get you there. So let's plug in what we know. Pi times radius times slant height plus pi times radius squared. And now I just grab my calculator. 12 times 15, we want to see that, 180 pi, plus my base, which is 144 pi. And if you don't want to do that in your head, it is 324 pi square centimeters. And that is your surface area. So you have some practice problems to do. And let me point out one more thing while we're here. If you look at number 6, the base of this one is a pentagon. And the way we find the area of a regular pentagon was 1/2 apothem times perimeter. This 4.36 is the apothem. So just a little note to help you when you're solving that. And capital P still stands for perimeter of the base. All right, good luck with your practice.